In our last installment, you witnessed some novice sandstone bouldering and some of these spectacular sights that Utah had to offer, all in what seemed to be fast forward, as we condensed it all into 3.5 days of, wait, why do we have to leave now? But alas, we did have to leave, on our way to the west coast and continue through some more states we had never visited. Now, I guess we're using the word visited here pretty loosely, where in typical fashion we kind of just blasted through these states with a few minor stops. Like this one, at a gas station branded with the middle of nowhere signs. Which is kind of funny, as we stopped at another gas station in a previous video that toted a sign stating, "You are nowhere." These stops helped remind us of how far we'd actually traveled. This was kind of a fun stop because while it pretty much was quite literally nowhere, it had these farm animals on display out front, which kind of made the middle of nowhere somewhere.
This is the best gas station ever.
That's sick.
If only every gas station could be like this.
Oh, this guy's putting his head up. What up?
He's gonna spit at you.
You're just so excited. You ready?
Yeah, hook him up. Oh, yeah.
You're a little Hoover.
You gone?
A little Hoover.
You're too excited. He's looking at me. Hey, he knows what I'm doing.
Oh, this one wants some.
Oh, yeah, okay. You're next, okay? We'll get you next. All right, buddy, it's your turn.
It's for this guy. It's for this guy. There you go. Yummy.
See you later. Yeah, woo.
So weird.
See you guys later.
While the animals were an interesting surprise, we don't think we would recommend going here. We could see some interesting displays in the windows, so we walked into the store to see what was going on inside, to which the woman inside immediately greeted us with, "There's no washrooms in here," and seemed to lack some basic tact, so we turned around and headed right back out. We can't say the drive was terribly eventful, but it wasn't like watching paint dry either, unless we're talking about paint from a pretty Bob Ross painting. There were plenty of very curvy passes and roads and some beautiful lookouts, and we did catch a pretty stunning rainbow along the way. Dang, would you just look at that thing? It was also pretty cool seeing the landscape gradually transform throughout the drive. As we lost the sun, we decided to stop off at a hotel for the first time in Washington State to get some much needed rest and an equally as needed shower. It was really odd sleeping in the hotel room after spending a good while camping out of our car. We actually had trouble sleeping in the bed and both jokingly and not so jokingly discussed going out to the car to sleep in the parking lot. But alas, we passed out and woke up early to continue our journey. The drive through Washington State was definitely a change of scenery, and the textbook West Coast landscape became more and more obvious as we headed west. which led us right past the city we've actually visited before, Seattle, and directly across the border on a ferry to Vancouver Island. This was the first time in the trip that we had returned to Canadian soil, and the first time ever we'd taken our Matrix on a boat transport across water. Unfortunately, we lost the footage, but the waters were extremely stormy, and the combination of winds and waves were rocking the boat so hard that they stopped selling food and drinks. So we picked up some gems from the gift shop and returned to our car for the rest of the ride.
Hey,
Where are we?
on the Titanic.
Not quite. What you got there?
Motown. And then we got this. You can only get these on the boat to Victoria.
I don't think that's true.
It's exclusive.
I think that's a lie. Why the f*** would you sit in a ferry when you could sit in your car and listen to Motown?
We wish we didn't have to mute the music for YouTube, because these albums were just full of bangers.
That's the ocean.
Where are we?
We're right there.
Where's there? Ooh.
It's international waters.
No, it's not. Wait, are we pirates?
We're pirates.
Ferry pirates.
Are you very excited?
I'm very excited. That's good. Solid. Solid work there, miss.
Thanks.
Woo. Almost at Victoria.
Who's this Victorian bitch you're talking about?
Who's Victoria?
Yeah.
It's a secret.
Oh shit!
Get it? No. We're funny. Alright.
We trickled off the boat and onwards to Victoria. When you're from a city and you hear people talk about being enamored by it, you can't help but just cringe just a little bit. You know, the same place you commute in monotonous fashion every day, have to sit in traffic for your job, walk past the same dented graffiti garbage pail, and bump into the same person you really don't want to talk to. Yeah, that place. When people outside your city talk about how nice that place is, I think it makes you roll your eyes a bit. But we're gonna do it anyhow because we thought Victoria was a really pretty city that felt big enough that it was by no means a small town, but it still had plenty of charm. And being in a new city, with new sights, guess what the first thing we did was? Yep, go check out the local climbing gym. This is Crag X, which seemed to be a pretty nice modern gym, but before we give it too many compliments, I will go on a little bit of a rant first. So we arrived after hours of driving, and I really had to pee. Like bladder about to explode in pain kind of I had to pee. Not being complete noobs, we knew every gym wants you to sign a waiver before you proceed past the entranceway. So we immediately filled out the forms while I did a really uncomfortable dance and went up to the desk and paid, and proceeded to ask where the bathroom was. Where we were informed that we had to have a gym tour before I could use the little boys' room. I made it obvious through not so subtle words that I was about to burst, and was still met with resistance, to which I didn't hesitate to make a beeline to the bathroom, where I proceeded to bore a hole through porcelain with a stream comparable to a plasma cutter. While Laura waited for me, she sat on a nice wooden bench and got freshly chewed gum on her only pair of climbing pants. So needless to say, we were off to a rough start. So after a new pair of pants for Laura, and myself narrowly avoiding a change of pants, we were ready to boulder. Where we were informed that even though we were just there to boulder, we had to take a belay test? Yeah. So we did, and proceeded to get bouldering. Laura hadn't hurt her ankle yet at this time, but the flooring was pretty rigid, which can be a good or bad thing depending on how you look at it. But it got in Laura's head a bit, and she never really felt comfortable landing. I was indifferent, and definitely did like the setting, so I carried on.
Ready?
I'm ready. I'm always ready. Yeah. Easy peasy. Who's the reason you got that problem? Don't just stare at it, do it. Come on. Give it a big old hug. Nice.
Nice. Look at that. Easy. Told you.
But good thing we were forced to take that belay test because Laura got to climb some routes instead, which of course we didn't get any footage of. So in summary, it was a very nice modern gym, good setting, nice routes, but arrive on an empty bladder. Seriously though, overall it was a really nice gym. After that, we went for a drink with a friend, which was super nice. Then we briefly thought about looking for a spot to car camp, but being unfamiliar with the city, we just went to a cheap motel to crash. The next morning, we capitalized on the complimentary breakfast, and knowing we wouldn't be climbing again for a few days, we decided to try our luck at another climbing gym, BoulderHouse.
What are you doing there?
Now this gym is a sister or brother, or let's just go a sibling gym to a local gym we climb at back home. The aesthetics were eerily similar, and the setting was as well, even though it's on nearly the opposite end of the country with different setters.
You're supposed to climb it backwards.
Either way, we mean that in the best of ways because they are both really, really fun gyms to climb.
Yeah. Oh. Come on. Nice. You got this. Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
Nice, Bray. Good job. Try those fingers. You think you're a cool guy?
Yeah.
I think we climbed decently considering we climbed the night before. I even managed to break a problem that was at the limit for me at that time. Breaking problems sometimes means making them easier, but I don't think I really did that here. There's supposed to be this dyno around this kind of corner, but my brain and body just couldn't compute. So I thought I could drop down to the foothold and do this super high heel hook to a mantle-ish position thing, which is probably a textbook way to damage your knee. After a few attempts, I managed to actually pull it off and send the problem. Knee still in place.
Come on, Bray. Come on.
That's awesome.
Come on. Come on.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good rock climbing.
You got this.
Yeah, buddy. Oh, there you go. Great work.
And then it was back to the car. Remember that complimentary breakfast we mentioned? Yeah, we saved some for the road.
What you got there?
Post-workout.
Was that a little waffle? A little waffle action?
Pancake.
Pancake? Thank you.
This goes right to your biceps.
Is that where it goes?
Yeah.
Sick.
Then we're on our way north on the island to stay with some family for a few days and catch up with them. Being from basically the other coast, seldomly we got to visit. In fact, the first time we made it out this way was just a couple years prior, well into our adult lives, when we could finally scrape together enough money for a flight. So this visit was easily overdue, and we were happy we got to spend some quality time together and just relax. Our hosts were super accommodating, and we were so grateful for them to have hosted us, especially for allowing us to park our makeshift hatchback RV in their driveway on display for all their neighbors to see. Thanks guys, we love you, and your patience. Beyond the family time, the short visit was an opportunity to see the beautiful landscape on the island and recharge before hopping back on the road. course, to get off the island, we had to get our butts back on the boat again, departing around 6 a.m. This was the earliest we'd been up the whole trip, and we weren't exactly morning people.
In 800 meters, turn left onto the British Columbia 19 South ramp to Nanaimo.
At least being up at 5 a.m. meant we got to drive through the sunrise, which was honestly really beautiful. So we found ourselves on a ferry again, but this time during the day, under much better conditions, but with maybe a little less spirit than the first boat ride in. Remember me just saying that we aren't quite morning people.
What? Oh, you're not pretty enough today?
No. It's too early. I'm still asleep.
You're not asleep, you look like a babe.
We're going to America! Nobody cares. Alright, let's go get coffee.
So we left heading from a different port and eventually docking at another new port. While this ride had much less Motown blasting in our eardrums, it was a much nicer commute. Seeing the mountainous shore as you approach is truly breathtaking. We quickly ventured into Vancouver, one of the other major Canadian cities, for a bit to visit my cousin, and then carried on our way to Kelowna to visit two of our best friends, and some more family. The drive through BC was definitely beautiful, even though we stuck to major highways. This was especially true for the Coquihalla Pass, although it was a bit of a nail-biter in our small, overloaded, 4-cylinder, 2-wheel drive, small terrain vehicle. If you watched the build video of us preparing this car for the trip, we hinted towards ending up needing the snow tires that we put on this car, and this is what we were referring to. It was honestly like we went through a tunnel with clear roads, and then on the other end we were met with a blizzard. This was probably the only time that our overburdened suspension was a good thing, as we think it provided more traction for this car that is normally light as a feather. Thinking back on this drive is a little unnerving, knowing that later that year, in the same car, we spun out on a highway in a blizzard on a flat Ontario highway. Mind you, it's notorious for whiteout conditions. Facing towards oncoming traffic is not a sight I would recommend ever experiencing. Anyhow, we didn't film the worst of the snow here, but we definitely were more concentrated on the road than our camera. Like most of our travels, we drove until the sun began to set as we arrived in Kelowna, which we'll just save for the next video. So, as always, if you liked what you saw, give this video a thumbs up, and if you want to support this channel, please subscribe, and consider clicking that bell to get notifications when we post a video. Thanks for sticking around, and we'll see ya in the next one. Peace out.